Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal, and this is the latest news updates. Let's get into it straight away, and let's start with the HALE and boys. Now, we've been talking about them the last couple of days, the last 1 week. Are they going to stay? Are they going to leave? Are they going to, get any game time between now and the end of the season? Well, we have some answers from Charles Watts about the summer transfer window, and let's start with Reiss Nelson. According to Charles Watts, interest remains in Nelson from several Premier League clubs. I don't think Brighton have gone away, and if a good bid comes in from them or anyone else, I think Arsenal will take it and look to invest that money elsewhere. He also went on to say to talk more about what happened last summer with Reiss Nelson. I've been told the offer from, okay, let's start with the other one. Nelson was very close to leaving last summer when his old deal was running out. Brighton were very interested, as were AC Milan. I've been told the offer from Milan was a really appealing one to the winger, and there were many at Arsenal who believed that he would end up moving to Italy. So if you had to ask me last year around January, February, whether Nelson was going to be here this season, I'd have said no, because he had picked up an injury that had kept him out for a long time, and it didn't really look like he was going to get any game time. And then in January, we signed the likes of Trossard, and it was looking likely that Nelson would not really get any game time. But good for him. Well done to him. He came in around March, April, and May, and he scored some big goals, and he had some big performances. The one that stands out was the goal against Bournemouth, the last minute one. And I remember his bench performance from against Southampton when we were 3-1 down, and then he came on, and the game ended up being 3-3. Some really, really good performances. Now, there's two things that usually happen when a player that you're not really sure is going to stay happens when they perform well, whether it's your team or on loan. Either you cash in on them and sell them right away that summer or that winter window, or reward them with a new contract. And 3 years ago, when we were beating Chelsea 4-2, we were not sure that Nketiah is going to stay that summer. But for him, he scored a couple of goals against Chelsea and had a couple of more good performances. And we gave him a new contract plus the number 14 shirt, which people still don't like until today. Now, for Reiss Nelson last season, we gave him a new contract, and told him, listen, stay here for this season, and you're going to have you're going to make a big impact in the team as well. And for him, being an Arsenal fan and everything, if we were Reiss Nelson, he'd definitely stay, because the team is building really well, and you're going to make some more big signings, and you're going to get even more game time, and you're going to help the team win some trophies in the 2023-2024 season. So he stayed on. Unfortunately for Reiss Nelson and other players like Eddie Nketiah and Smith Rowe and Ramsdale, and you can even go back to last season with Matt Turner and all those other guys that weren't really playing, we haven't really been doing well in the cup competition. So we were eliminated from the FA Cup early, from the Carabao Cup early. Last season, Europa League, we were out early. Same with the FA Cup, same with the Carabao Cup. So if we were, let's say we reached the FA Cup final this season and the Carabao Cup semi-final, players like Reiss Nelson and Ramsdale would have gotten 7 to 10 more games, especially if you go to a replay and stuff. They would have gotten a lot more games. But unfortunately for them, we went out of those competitions. Again, you can even go back to last season with players like Matt Turner. If we stayed on in the Europa League and in the FA Cup and in the Carabao Cup, Matt Turner would have played close to 20 games last season. But unfortunately for these players that we have on the bench, we can add Cedric and Elneny and all the rest. We've been eliminated from these competitions very early, and that has meant that they're not getting enough game time at all. And in the Premier League, we have players like Saka, who, Saka is a daily, is a sure starter. Yes, sometimes you want him to get rested, but, when you get to January and you're chasing the league and everything, how many games are they really going to play? Saka, Martinelli, they've taken the levels very, very high. So I can't really see Nelson coming in for Saka for 2-3 games and remove Saka from the team. It's not going to happen. On top of that, Trossard is now in the team. Havertz is now in the team. Jesus is there. Odegaard is there. Fabio has not even been playing. You can include him on the list of the likes of Nketiah, but he has been injured. So it's been unfortunate for them. Yes, I'd have loved to see Nelson coming on in some games like Aston Villa, where I'd have loved Nelson to come on instead of Trossard in that game because of pace and all that. But it's quite unfortunate for all those guys that are usually on the bench that they don't really get any game time, but understandable. Like in the Champions League, I didn't really expect them to play any games at all. In the Carabao Cup, you saw Nelson played against Brentford in the first game of the Carabao Cup this season. He also played against West Ham as well in the second game that we lost 3-1 and then went out of the Carabao Cup. If we remained there, they would definitely have gotten more game time, but unfortunately for them, we didn't stay in that competition or any of those competitions, and we went out. So what is the future with them? Charles was spoken about Reiss Nelson last summer. Last summer, he was actually supposed to go, and according to reports, he was actually willing to join, to join AC Milan. Surprisingly, he was happy to move on to Serie A. But later on, we offered him a new contract, and he decided to sign the new contract. So we know that he would be willing to leave the team. So if a good offer comes this transfer window, we're not surprised if Nelson leaves. And he's just confirmed that he's probably going to leave. Charles Watts has confirmed that. Now, he's not the only player, as I've said. Most of the HALE boys are probably going to leave. And this is the latest on Emil Smith-Rowe. I think Reiss Nelson will go this summer, and don't think he will be the only academy product to do so. Arsenal need to bring in some cash to help boost the finances, and the likes of Nelson, Nketiah, and Smith-Rowe will all generate interest. So, as I said, I think a week ago, I talked about these players. You can add Ramsdale to that. He's not a HALE boy, but you can add him to that list. Out of those 4 players, I'm expecting at least 2 of them sure to leave, like 100%, at least 2 of them will leave. 3 of them, maybe. There's a 60-70% chance that at least 3 of them will leave. And you can't even really say that there's no chance of all 4 of them leaving. It's slight, but I'd say minimum 2 of them leaving, and then I'd not be surprised if 3 of them ended up leaving. 4, maybe it's a stretch, but there's like a 20% chance, like at least all 4 of them would leave. So there's that as well. Now for Smith-Rowe, as I said on yesterday's video, we usually don't want these players to leave. We talked about TN yesterday. I wanted Aubameyang to stay, I absolutely loved him. I wanted Cazorla to stay, absolutely loved him. You know, all those players, Lacazette was really good in the 2018-2019 season. Like, all of them had an impact in the Arsenal team. But it comes a time where you have to move on, and it's going to really hurt when Smith-Rowe leaves. But listen, they have to move on at some point, because you look at that team, where will Smith-Rowe start playing? He's unfortunate because it's the injury that has really cost him. He's been injured for like 2 seasons. He was really good for us 2 seasons ago. If he stayed fit, there's a time he was playing ahead of Martinelli on the left side. So if he stayed fit, maybe they've seen Smith-Rowe playing regularly and, advancing as much as progressing just the same as Saka and Martinelli. But unfortunately for him, where does he play right now? Especially if we sign another midfielder and then Declan Rice plays in number 8, that if that position is gone, and the number 10 is Odegaard's position, then you're having to ask Smith-Rowe to try and take out Odegaard from that position, or take out Martinelli from the left side, which becomes hard. And Trossard is there; he also wants that position. The forward players, Havertz, Jesus. If you sign a striker, all of those players can play up front, and that brings us to Nketiah as well. Now, when Jesus was getting injured, Nketiah has been the one to play the last 1 year, but recently you can tell he's fallen down the pecking order. If Jesus is not there, it's Havertz. If Havertz is not there, it's Trossard. Even if all 3 of them are not there, you wouldn't be surprised if Nketiah still didn't play, and we went for someone like a Martinelli or a false 9 or something like that. So he's definitely dropped down the pecking order. Nketiah is another one who was close to leaving 2 years ago, as I said, before we beat Chelsea 4-2 that season. Nketiah was supposed to leave that summer, but he stayed on. He signed a new contract. He was awarded with the number 14 shirt, and up until some point this year, he was our top scorer. He was really doing well. He was scoring the goals, but as I said, he dropped down the pecking order, and I cannot see him getting back his position, especially if Jesus stays and Havertz is going to be there, Trossard is going to be there. Let's say Gyökeres is there. There's no chance Nketiah can play. At least we can make an argument about Havertz playing in the number 8 role in some games. We can make an argument of Jesus playing on the right side or on the left side some games. But Nketiah, really be confident with him playing on the right side or the left side? I don't really think so. So unfortunately for these 3 players, it looks like there's a big chance at least 2 of them are going to leave. And if you're going to get money to fund us for other transfers, looks like these 3 players are the ones to sell together with Ramsdale. Now, which other players realistically can we sell? If you're not talking about these players, which players can you make a profit on? Not too many. I don't think you can make a profit on Fabio Vieira right now, for example, or Ramsdale, for example, right now. Other players, I don't really want any of our defenders to be sold. I know some of you want Zinchenko to be sold because he's not good defensively. I agree with the defensive point, but in terms of other play, I don't want him to be sold. So I'd keep all 7 defenders. Midfield-wise, there's nowhere Rice is going. There's nowhere Jorginho is going. There's nowhere Havertz is going, Odegaard, all those guys. Up front, there's a chance some of you and Jesus to leave. I don't think he's going to leave. Saka, Martinelli, Trossard, all of them are going to stay. So realistically, you're looking at the players who are going to leave. Cedric, Elneny, you're not going to get anything for them. Even if you decide to sell the likes of Jorginho today, you're not really going to get too much money for him. Maybe you're going to get the same that you paid for him, 10 to 12 million. You're not going to make any profit for him. So the HALE boys are the only ones you can really make a profit on. So it's a tough situation to be, but I guess it's going to reach a time where we have to say goodbye. So question for you guys, if you're to choose between Nketiah, Smith Rowe, and Reiss Nelson, you're told two of them have to leave. Which two would you sell and which one would you keep? Mikhail Sylvester has also been speaking about Kiwior. Yes, he had that right, Mikhail Sylvester. Never thought to be speaking about him on this channel in 2024, but here we are. This is what he's had to say about Kiwior. His profile is more defensive than Zinchenko. I think it's about choices. Obviously, performances guide the manager, but with him, Arsenal are more solid. They have a strong back four with Kiwior, Gabriel, Saliba, and White. More height as well with Kiwior, so he's more than a challenger for the left back position. Now, listen, I do agree with the defensive part. I don't necessarily think Zinchenko was meant to play defensive as a defender, like games against Liverpool away in those teams. It's unfortunate that at that time, Kiwior had not really settled in as a left back, and Tomiyasu and Timber have been have been injured, so Zinchenko has been left exposed. But there's some games that Zinchenko is definitely a really, really good player. Like if you go and watch Wolves at home, Zinchenko's quality until like last minute when he's had to defend and made a mistake. But if you look at the goal he scored against Wolves, the Zinchenko 1-2 with Jesus, absolutely incredible. The goal he scored, I think it was against Burnley at home or someone. The forward positions, he can really do the job for you, but defensively is not the best, especially in these big games. He's definitely not the best, but he can still help us, and I wouldn't really sell him. But Kiwior, the performance has been putting in that position, and Sylvester actually agreed. Sylvester, who would have thought, actually agreed. Sylvester, the height and all that, it really helps. From corners, one of the other reasons why we are very strong at corners is because literally we have four defenders who all go forward. They're all centre backs, and they all go forward. Ben White, Kiwior, Gabriel, Saliba. On top of that, you have the likes of Havertz in the box as well. It just becomes chaos with all those tall players. We've really made a change from what we were 7-8 years ago, and you had all the tiny players with the wheelchair and Ramses and Cazolas. We've made a huge difference. We've definitely changed from what we are all those years ago. Now we have a big team. We have a mixture, and most of our players are just big. So for Kiwior, I definitely agree with everything he said. That it's definitely a player I would want to keep next season. Sorry. 5 months ago, if you're to be asked about Kiwior, a lot of you are saying, sell him, just cash in on him and improve the defense. But right now, most of us have seen the quality of Kiwior and I'd want him to stay. Kiwior is not the only player Sylvester has been speaking about. He's also been speaking about Albert Sambi Lokonga, and this is what he's had to say. I believe if he were to be given a second chance at Arsenal, he would step up. A season like this with Luton, where he plays 90% of the games, could help him to come back and do better. Now, listen. The time he was at Arsenal, there's a couple of games where he was playing as the lone number 6 by himself, and I felt like, we are basically exposing him, because in the Premier League, that number 6 role, you have to be really good. And for us to play him like against Liverpool in the number 6 role by himself up against Anderson and Fabinho, that was suicidal. But at that time, he couldn't really do anything. I think Partey was suspended for a couple of games. He got injured, and Xhaka was playing the number 8 role. We didn't have anyone else there. Elneny was also injured. Jorginho was not in the club yet. Reiss was not in the club yet. Right now, maybe if you play him next to Declan Rice and Odegaard, maybe he looks better. That I agree with. But right now, as we said about Tierney yesterday, and I've just said about the likes of Nelson and Smith Rowe, sometimes you have to move forward. You can love players, but sometimes you have to move forward. And I'm sure most of you would say sell Lokonga anyway, but you have to move forward sometimes. Right now, we're looking at Zubimendi and other players in midfield like Douglas Luiz. On top of that, you have Declan Rice, so you want Jorginho to stay. And who knows, Partey might still be here next season. Who knows? So unless you get rid of Partey, Jorginho, and Elneny, all three of them, and then give Lokonga a spot on the bench, I can't really see him staying. And for me, I'm cashing on him, honestly, because, again, there's not too many players I look at and think, okay, this one you're going to sell and get a little bit money for him. I can't see it. But, let me know. Do you think Lokonga deserves a second chance at Arsenal? Personally, I don't feel like it's a time to give players second chances. Just move on from Tierney, just move on from Lokonga, just move on from Tavares. Let's keep moving on. Right now, if you want the big trophies, as we talked about yesterday, if you want to compete with Man City and Liverpool, tough decisions need to be made. Well, this decision doesn't seem to be tough for the German coach. He's decided that Kai Havertz will start at centre forward tomorrow for Germany against France. Nigel said he has taken a great development. I appreciate him very much as a person and a player. So tomorrow's game on Saturday, Germany against France. I would love to see Havertz against Saliba. That would be something. I'm not sure Saliba is going to start, but that would be great. So Havertz has really played well in that number 9 position. I'm looking forward to seeing how he does for Germany in the forward role. He's played as a midfielder there. In the last international break, he was playing as a left back for Germany. So he's a really versatile player. So let's see how he does for Germany in that role. That shows you even the German coach is really impressed by how Havertz has done up front in terms of holding up the ball, getting into the spaces in the box, the correct positions. He's been scoring goals crucially and a lot of different qualities. So can't wait to see how he does. I wish Saliba starts. I want to see Havertz against Saliba. Speaking of international games, I've just watched Odegaard today. He's played, I think, 85 minutes before he got subbed off. Yesterday, Zinchenko played as well, won their game. There's qualifications for qualifiers for the Euros. Therefore, Odegaard is just a friendly. Also, Kiwior, his team won by 5 goals, and he also played well. So the internationals are going on. Saka and Gabriel are not going to play, but this weekend we have Brazil against England. I would have loved to see Saka against Gabriel, but I want them to rest. So you're going to see the likes of Declan Rice in that match. Looking forward to it. Trossard for Belgium as well, waiting for them. Let me know what you make about everything that we've spoken about. As of now, thank you for watching. Hit the like button, and I'll catch up with you on